Oh, yeah, I'm already recording. Wow. Anyway, response video to Professor Anton, who I will say thank you for responding. Sort of like you to answer some questions too someday, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, playing his video now. But yeah, part 2 will be on the website. No doubt there'll be a part 2. Just simple questions, answers are complicated.
So I'm going to shoot a quick response here to Gary DoNotGod in his most recent video response to the video that I had shot, I guess, a day ago regarding Fred Conference Report's video on the question of God, and does God talk, have any good? Is there a usefulness to that? I think, I'm not really sure why Gary is so upset or so angry. He just seems so irritated or so frustrated.
Yeah, most of the world is irritated and frustrated. Through all of human history, there's been a ton of irritation and frustration. And I think I make it really clear in my videos, and even the part where you see that the focus of the argument is that this God delusion is a troublesome thing. In my opinion, it destroys human progress. Now, I should be unemotional about that and disconcerted, and I should lack passion. You use words like, you people will talk about narratives and the stories we tell ourselves and the world we live in based on that narrative. My narrative is very different than yours. All right, my narrative, animals suffer. In my narrative, human beings do an awful lot of suffering. And it's all pointless and useless suffering because we don't build anything good out of it. We don't do it for some good purpose. We do it because, we get pissed off at each other and angry and then kill each other. Or because we resist something as fundamental to our existence as growing old and dying. Lots of wasted suffering. And so you might just say, well, so what? It's not your problem. It's not happening in your living room, so as long as it's not in your living room, it doesn't really exist. And by my narrative, no, my living room is not the world. My living room it doesn't define reality for me. So I have to assume that if I have a cat and the cat is dying or suffering, and it horrifies me and it bothers me and it causes me much stress and grief, logically I have to recognize that every other cat that's suffering is just as meaningful, just as real, just as care about a bull, and that's the key thing. So once I recognize that, then my narrative starts getting a little dark. It's a little disturbing, a little scary, a little horrifying. And when I see people who are basically advocating that we just do this don't worry, be happy thing, pretend that we're on some magical ride and we're going somewhere, we're going to shake somebody's hand someplace, we're going to the White House someday, and this is just the trip there, or some kind of bullshit. Whatever the canard is. It bothers me. We've taken thousands of years to finally get to a point where human beings can actually have a conversation that isn't wrapped in all this bullshit, babbly totem poles and dog god dogma. And you want to drag us right back in there again. You want to throw us right back in that same fucking toilet water. And so, that's why I'm angry. I think what you're doing is nasty. Evil, even.
The man's obviously angry. He keeps using these name-calling strategies of, I'm phantasmagorical.
Well, it's not a strategy, all right? It's like I said, it's most of the words come out of frustration. I think phantasmagorical is hardly name-calling. It's a descriptive term. If somebody thought they were Napoleon, you'd probably come up with a word for that, like actoritis or something. You'd call it something. You you're phantasmagorical. The word's kind of a Disney word or something. I know it was in the song from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know if it was from anything else. Fantasia sort of sounds like it, but that's the concept. It's this concept that things have mystical powers. Okay, that a car isn't just a car. No, it loves you. It's little Herbie the love bug. It's aggrandizing reality, because you don't like the reality, so you aggrandize it. You give it magical, mystical powers, and that's all it is. And so it's a perfectly suitable word. It's a perfectly descriptive word. Derogatory? I guess it's derogatory as Pollyanna. It's a real syndrome. Pollyanna syndrome is a real syndrome. There are people who just, it doesn't matter what the hell happens, they're just going to do this happy face bullshit. And I think they deserve a little ridicule. And so, maybe it's you find it offensive and insulting, but from where I'm sitting, it's perfectly descriptive.
Well, I guess I don't know what that means. He sounds so dogmatic at about 4 minutes in, almost at 5 minutes.
What's the point of using a word like dogmatic when you're just blowing words up? So you apparently have some other definition of dogmatic than somebody who's reading a dogma off a rock. I'm not doing that. Whose script am I reading? Whose script is it? Where's the dogma? Where's the stated fact? Beyond the fact that I'm suggesting that when you add up all the evidence, this is where it points. Now, how do you call that dogma? It's silly. It's not that it's not even fair. It's just goddamn silly.
Ranting about how all of the science is in and none of this is resolved. Well, I want to just offer a couple of
that's sort of an exaggeration. I haven't said all of the science is in. What I've said, all the science that we need is in. We have more than enough evidence to convict on this crime. We got it from the DNA evidence. We've got the circumstantial evidence. We've got all kinds of evidence that all point to the reality that this doesn't have anything to do with purpose and intention and something's will or any of that crap. It has to do with what happens when matter acquires the capacity to reproduce itself. And it evolves for 4 billion years.
Your questions. And Gary, if you get this video, if you happen to be listening, why don't you just pick on these questions and address these? Okay, and I'll try to lay it out in some of the terminology that I think you were offering in your video. Okay, first off, the first question is, why was there something rather than nothing?
Yeah, well, isn't this almost like this is the game the creationists play with kids? It's like a way to, you can catch a kid on this kind of question. You just say, well, look, babies only come out of a mommy and a daddy, and so somehow the world must have come from something, right? Something must have made it. People have to make cars, and everything has to come from something, because that's what our environment demonstrates. We don't see anything arise out of nowhere, because we don't see the 4 billion years of evolution. So for us, we see complexity giving birth to complexity, arising complexity, or however you want to phrase it. But that's not the natural world's default state. There's no reason to presume that there has to that has to be true, and it has a huge giant flaw in it, because what's a more sensible probability, that an intelligence poof from nowhere, or that crude forces had some poofy origin? I mean, if you have to say one or the other, it's a lot. Your answer doesn't go anywhere, because you always have to have an explanation for the existence of your creator. The mommy and daddy do have parents, and then they have parents, and you go right down the evolutionary scale. And every time we start deconstructing and we start going down that chain of cause and effect, there's every probability what we're going to find at the end of that chain every time is a crude force. We're not going to find a will and an intelligence. It's also, I mean, this whole, I mean, you're going to get into it some more, so I probably should wait, but the whole question of this something nothing thing it's just it's a false question, because I think it is sort of already answered. Obviously, what always had to have existed in the universe was potential and possibility. We're the evidence of it. We're the proof of it. So at least potential and possibility had to exist. So there was something in the universe. There was the possibility of our existence, or there was the potential of our existence. And one could theorize, if they believe in a cause and effect material universe, that our existence was